Next, we have on stage two powerful minds, Abhinav Singh and Ayush. Do we have them here? Yes, can you guys please come up? Uh, Anubhav is an AI engineer, Ayush is a fellow ML engineer. Anubhav has been a TEDx speaker, and both of them work for Ways and Biases. They are also Google developer experts in machine learning. So I am very sure you're gonna have a very interesting and very fruitful session. Yes, they are on the stage. They are coming up now.
Hi, good morning. A little more energy. Good morning. Nice. How many of you have heard me before? Oh, wow. Okay, 30% of the crowd. Thank you. So, a little different role today, right? I'm representing weights and biases. And how many of you have heard of weights and biases before? Yes, the ML practitioners in the house, right? The folks who have done some ML training, I believe, right? So, yeah. So, talking about weights and biases today, I have with me Ayush, and Ayush has been with weights and biases for like 5+ years. So, if you have the most deepest questions about ML training, observability, Ayush is your guy today. And I'll be back, but for now, I'm handing it over to Ayush to introduce to you what weights and biases is. What is the product that we are talking about? By the way, the product that we are talking about is completely open source. You can self-host it. So keep that in mind that you don't really have to pay us just because we are sponsoring this, right? So yeah, over to you, Ayush.
Hello. Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Ayush. We have 30 minutes on the clock, and we're going to talk about weights and biases, machine learning, MLOps, LLM ops, agent ops, you name it. Like, it's going to be a speed run, but there are a lot of interesting stuff that we want to just show you. We have a booth outside, right? And I would love to see a crowd there because, yeah, you might have a lot of questions by the end of our presentation, and we will love to answer that, right? So, before I jump into Anubhav introduce himself, I am Ayush. I have been at Weights and Biases for last 5 years. And yeah, it's going to be a fun one today with this presentation, right? So, there's this article I just searched on Twitter that, hey, give me a few articles on why agents are not working in the wild, right? And this is an article from Futurism. They're saying that the percentage of tasks that are currently failing is like absolutely painful. And that is true, right? It's very easy now to build a demo for like prototype an idea using an LLM or any VLM or any Gen AI model, but it's really hard to put it in production even today, right? There's this person, Chip Huyen, quite well known in the machine learning community. And I don't know, have you heard of Cursor, Claude? Have you used any AI coding assistant? If you have used, it works sometimes, but many a times it will fail. Many a times you have to really massage it with your user prompt, right? So as I said, it's very easy to demo, but it's really hard to productionize. That's the case with Gen AI, like simple ideas, chatbot, for example, and agents. It's easy to demo. Like you can build an agentic system really easily, but it's even harder to productionize, right? And I will touch upon what Gen AI is, what agents are in a bit, right? So weights and biases has been around since 2016. We have over 1,300 plus enterprise customers. So you can see the name: OpenAI, Meta, Adobe, Microsoft, etc. So all the big players out in the world that are training models, for example, like one of the persona that we serve, almost all of them are our customer. So we take a lot of pride in that because we have built something that's really useful for the community. And we feel proud of the fact that the work that we have done in the last 5 years has helped the world in general, right? So we are serving over 1 million AI practitioners. So folks like software developers, AI engineers, etc. Other than like hardcore machine learning engineers, we serve them as well. So we have the entire breadth and depth of like in the machine learning AI eng life cycle, and we try to serve all of them. Right. So there are 3 core personas, right? Either you can be a foundational model builder, so you are building GPT, you are building Claude Sonnet, you are building Gemini, right? So those are the foundational model builders. Then you are an AI engineer, right? An AI engineer will take those models and build applications that are useful for humanity in general, right? And then you're a software developer as well. So you're not coming from a pure ML background. You're not doing a lot of machine learning, but you have been doing software engineering for a good part of your career, and you are thinking of transitioning to you leveraging these foundational powerful models to build applications that have intelligence baked into it. We serve those personas as well, right? So today, the idea was to talk to the AI engineers, the software developers in the crowd, and folks who are aspiring to be one, right? It's easier. I mean, today, it's from a career perspective, like if you're a student, from a career perspective, it's easier to be an AI engineer than a foundational machine learning engineer, right? Because the barrier to entry has gone really up. Right, so you have a cool idea. You are thinking of building an application. The roadmap is going to look something like this, right? You're going to be, on the y-axis, you have context optimization. So what's context? The relevant information that you want to give to your LLM or a VLM, right? So that's the context. You are trying to maximize it so that the application is truthful, is accurate, is not like hallucinating, etc. Right? And you're trying to optimize the system in the process, right? You want to make it as efficient as possible, make it as accurate as possible. So the path is messy, right? You might start with a simple prompt, add a few examples, which we call few-shot prompting. Then you might add a retrieval on top of it, which is called RAG, retrieval augmented generation. You might think, hey, let's fine-tune a model. You might go and fine-tune a model. Then you jump back to add some more fancy components to your RAG pipeline, so on, so on, so on, right? So the number of ideas that's out there that you can explore is massive. Right, it's a shameless plug, but on Weights and Biases, we have like AI courses, which are all free. So if you're a student, if you're thinking of upskilling yourself, I mean, you can take few of our courses. Like this is one that I'm one of the I don't know what, lecturer, whatever you call it. And yeah, it's a well-received course in the community, so you can learn about RAG in general if you are not yet familiar with what that is. Right, a small detour on what context engineering is. Have you heard of prompt engineering? Right? Forget about it. That's like a, I don't know, like a very, very small subset of context engineering. Why context engineering? Because if you have used an AI assistant, like coding assistant, if you have used ChatGPT, you might realize that many a times when you copy-paste your bug report, just copying pasting that is not sufficient. You have to let it know that, hey, this is from this package. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to like build this, whatever. You have to give more information to an LLM for it to give you better answers, right? So it's all about optimizing for the context, right? It can be the type of tools. Have you heard of tool usage? If so, what tools an LLM has access to is also a part of context engineering. Right? There's less enough. So if you want to learn more, there are some nice blog posts out there that you can check. There's also this AI engineering World Fair that happened really recently. There's a talk there on context engineering. Check that out. It's quite insightful. Sorry. Yeah, so it's messy, as simple as that. The whole process is messy. And just want to take a quick detour to like just explain what a workflow is and what an agentic like an agent is, right? It's a definition that was pioneered by Anthropic in their recent blog post. So what they are saying is that if you are leveraging LLM, right, we all know that machine learning models are non-deterministic in nature. That is, you cannot be 100% sure what the answer is going to be, right, upfront. But when you're, today at least with all the concepts and the availability of tooling, etc., we know that we can easily build workflow because if you look at this chart here, all the arrows are pointing in a straight path, right? And this is like a design schema of WANbot. WANbot is what, like I'm a co-creator of this. It's our RAG powered production grade a documentation bot. So you can ask questions about weights and biases with one bot, right? So we have a clear code path. So you do this, you do that, you do this. There are LLMs in the path trying to take action, but it's clearly defined. Whereas an agent, whenever you hear the word, hey, I'm building an agentic system, I want to build an agentic system, think that an agent's job is to finish the task, and it can go back and forth. It can, again, ask the user to give more context, like clarify the user query in the first place. It can select multiple tools. It can do weird stuff, right? So it's going to be very weird, and it's not going to be easy for you to exactly know what's happening with an agentic workflow. So yeah, it's bidirectional and hence complicated. Right, so weights and biases in general, mission is to support the entire life cycle. So the first part of the presentation was just to prove that this whole life cycle is messy. Machine learning, like even if a training model, it itself is messy, even though we have been training models for a long time now, but this building LLM application, Gen AI application is even messier because there's like a lot of stuff happening. So yeah, we want to support that whole life cycle. So the first and foremost thing, we start with exploring, right? We want to try out prompts and models. So for example, you want to build a chatbot. You want to build like automatic hiring, recruiting system. You want to build anything fancy where you think that an LLM can be a good fit. You start by simply prompting it, right? You let it, like you maybe go to ChatGPT, ask some questions, see how it's responding. And that's like a validity check to your idea if an LLM can do it or not, right? So you explore there. So for that, on weights and biases weave, so weights and biases has two sections to it. The experiment tracking side of things. So if you're training a model, you use our experiment tracker. And if you're building applications, you use something called weights and biases weave, which is a Gen AI, like a tooling designed just for Gen AI applications, right? So we have a playground in our tool itself. You can go and check it out. So yeah, you can select whatever model you want to select, a GPT-4 or Mini. We even have an, you can select that. You can ask it question. You can like change the hyperparameters like the temperature, the number of tokens that can be used, etc. You cannot do that with a ChatGPT interface or a Claude interface, but you can do that in the leaderboard, in a playground that we have. Right. I don't know if you know, but weights and biases was recently acquired by CoreWeave. So CoreWeave is one of the biggest player in the market when it comes to GPU infra in general, right? OpenAI uses CoreWeave GPU clusters to train their models, right? So we have hosted some models. These are all free models: DeepSeek, Meta, Llama, Qwen, etc. Right? So you can check out those open models hosted on our system as well in the playground itself. So that's also a good thing, not just restricted to proprietary models, right? So that's the first bit. So you start by prototyping, you start by exploring some prompts. The next thing is you build the application in the first place, like a V0, right? So there, the most important concept that you need to, like there are two important concepts. The first one is traceability or tracing in general. When you're building an application which is messy, you have like LLM taking decision to go forward, go backward, make a tool call, ask the user to for a clarifying question, with a clarifying question, etc. You need to exactly know when what is happening. If you have coded in Python and you have an error, you see a traceback, right? That traceback is what a trace is. So like that's the path, the code, like that's a logical path the code took. We capture the same thing with Weave for your LLM application, right? So whatever you want to build, you will have a nice trace timeline that you can use to debug, understand, etc. Right, and using that is quite easy. So imagine you have built a V0, just go in and import Weave if it's a Python package, and then decorate functions that you wanna have a good insight into, like understand when this function is called, what's the input to this function, what's the output of that function, etc. If something failed, what failed, etc. All you need to do is decorate that function with weave.op. That's all. Like it's a simple decorator. But in most cases, you don't even need to do that, because you might be building something with LangChain, might be building something with DSPY, might be building something with the OpenAI SDK or some other. So we have integrations with almost all of the important frameworks out there. So it's going to be very easy. All you need to do is import weave.init, that's it. And we'll start tracing it for you, right? And yeah, like there are multiple ways to view the same information. Like on this side, we have the trace timeline. So exactly what is happening when. This is a trace timeline from a Crew AI agent that I created. So you can see like, yeah, there is a kickoff saying, there's a start receive ticket, categorize ticket, make some LLM call, route by category, etc. So all the steps that happen in that, I don't know, like workflow, agentic system, whatever you call it. And the same thing is shown as a code box and like a flame chart. So it will give you more insight into what's happening when. So this will give you an insight into which processes took the longest time. Making an LLM call is obviously going to be the longest time-taking process in most application. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, right? And the final bit that I want to cover today is iteration with evaluation. So you are building a prototype, you are quickly iterating, but trust me, if you do not have an evaluation in place, your system, your application is not gonna be in production. Note it, right? As simple as that. You need to think about evaluation as a first-class citizen in your application building development cycle. You just cannot wait for 5 months and then think about evaluation. You have to start from the first day itself. It's very important. There are different ways you can think of evaluation, like public benchmarks in general just allow you to understand, hey, how well is the system, how well will the model perform for that particular benchmark. But in most cases, that public benchmark is not going to be correlated with what you want to achieve, and that data is not going to be like your production data. So you have to invest. You have to maybe do user testing. You have to do even human in the loop, like human evaluation, right? And you can also leverage LLM evaluators to do the same thing. LLM evaluators is a concept wherein you use an LLM to judge components of your system. Again, cannot talk much about here. But yeah, like evaluation is great. You have nice dashboards and everything when you're baking the evaluation lifecycle with Weave, right? Again, we have a course. You can take that out. It's very detailed, wherein I talk about, hey, how to think about evaluation, what's the mindset for thinking about evaluation, etc. You can maybe check it out as well. And finally, like the fine-tuning bit. So I've skipped guardrails, leaderboard, etc. because that's something that will come maybe 1 year down the road, right? Like not maybe at the very start, or maybe it's up to the application, but it might come in later, right? The last bit is the fine-tuning bit. So this is our bread and butter. It has been our bread and butter, wherein we serve customers like OpenAI, Meta, etc. to train models, right? If you're not a foundational model builder, if you are an AI engineer, you will more likely than not fine-tune a model at some stage, right? So we serve that lifecycle as well. You have system metrics like GPU usage, etc. You have all the nice, fancy like visualization, plot, etc. Everything is supported by weights and biases. Great. And finally, yeah. If you want, you can grab our slide deck here. Like you can scan this, or just come to the, I don't know. Yeah, or come to our booth, right? So there must be a lot of questions. I have 30 minutes on the clock. I need to hand it over to Anubhav right now. But yeah, come to our booth. We'll answer each and every question. And we have some nice swags and stickers laying around as well. So I hope you liked it. I hope it was a good, I don't know, like a spice or something that will inspire you to check it out. So yeah, like if you're a student, do check out. It's like an industry standard. It's very important to use weights and biases. Everyone is using it. And if you are a business, talk to us. We can answer some of your questions. Yep.
Okay, here for the next part, right? So, yeah. So I will be diving a little more into the practical part of this, right? So how do you do things? How do you get it running? And my philosophy is basically this, right? Say, as a hardcore Python developer, I don't like writing a lot of code, right? Yeah, Java developers in the house? Right. I don't connect with you. Anyway, let's not. Yeah, Java is running on 3 billion devices, so we'll let that be. And we'll start with something, right? If you have a mobile phone, you can probably go to this link. You can scan the QR code. If you have laptop open like her, Like, thank you for bringing that laptop, right? So if you have a laptop, you can take it out. It's hardly 5 minutes of Colab. People who have used Google Colab before? Yes, very nice. A lot of ML people in the house, data science and ML people, right? So yes, it will take you to a very simple Colab. And for those of you who like just watching the show, right, not really participating, yeah, I have something for you as well. So see, it's a very simple 3-step process, right? Import all the libraries, initialize Weave, and enjoy, right? Why is it so simple? Let me show you, right? Let me go to, I call this the Weave 000, which is basically your life today, right? Without using Weave. And let's do something, right? People who have developed AI apps, people who have used any kind of AI to develop AI apps, raise your hand high, nothing to be ashamed about, right? A lot of people. Okay, so now you will connect with me while I do this. First of all, install any popular LLM library or in general a client, right? Mostly these are wrappers over some API. So we installed Google Gen AI because we are at a Google event, and then standard import OS, Google Colab. I have not installed Weave, so I'll just leave it out. And then, yeah, let's import some helpers. And then let me run, grabbing my Google API key. Let me grant the access. I'm going to use Gemini 2.0 Flash. Right? This is pretty standard, right? Everyone has done this. Maybe with Google, maybe with any other provider. You have done this, right? Import the library, initialize it with the API key, and then use it to generate a lot of stuff like this, right? So there's a lot of content generated here. My prompt was really small. Why is the sky blue? What color is the sky? Anyway, you should search this reel. Yeah, so there's a lot of text generated. Now, how many of you in the audience think you are very veteran AI practitioners? No one. Thank you. Yeah, because the next question is going to be hard, right? The question is, how much cost do you think we incurred in this? Take a guess. I mean, you have been doing AI for a very long time. Yes? $5 million. $5 million in generating this. Oh, okay, no, not weights and biases, entire spending in lifetime, which is way more than 5 million, by the way, right? But yeah, in generating this, like, take a guess. 10. Sorry? 10 cents. How many tokens would this be, approximately? I mean, how many people developed AI apps? No one. Yeah, we had like half the audience. Come on. Right. So I know this is not a very easy question to answer because, see, all LLMs differ, right? The way they calculate tokens, the way they cost you, the pricing, sometimes they give you free even, right? So all of this differs all the time, keeps changing. It's really difficult to, make, set a rule in the mind that, okay, if I see this much amount of text, this is what it's going to cost, right? Really difficult to do that. So how do we solve this, right? And obviously the solution is, take a guess. Weave. What do you mean by AI? Right. So we are going to do very simple steps. As I said, first of all, we need to install the library itself, right? Let me install Weave. Done. That was pretty fast. And then we need to set the API key, right? Just like any other API client that we use. Let's grant access. And then we need to do something called weave.init, right? So weave.init we are going to do, and let me just name my project. Oh, I need to import Weave, right? So I'll import Weave. So far I have written like 3 lines, out of which 1 line was installation, 1 was configuration. So this is the first actual line which I'm writing, which is like import Weave. right? So Weave has been imported, and then let me initialize Weave with a project. Let me name this CCD GNR 25, right? This is taking time because it's authenticating. Okay, done. What more changes should I do? Any guess? Take a guess. What other changes might be required? See, you have used logging tools, right? A lot of you have used logging tools. Maybe even in normal software development also you have logging tools, monitoring tools. What else do you need to do? Somewhere we have to do like log dot something, right? Log dot info or maybe log dot error, those kind of things, right? People who have done this, any kind of logger you have used in any language, right? You know that we need to do stuff. Turns out not so. Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do again the same. Why is the sky blue? And actually I'll have to restart this session. Restart session, run all. Are we restarting? Yes, we are restarting. We are running. Okay, cool. Now this is the time taking part. There we go, right? So we did not really change much except one, import Weave, and second, Weave.init. And it automatically creates the log for you, right? You don't have to explicitly log anything. If you just import these two lines, you are done, and there you go. This was the API call which happened internally, and let me just click this for now. And you can actually see the number of tokens you spent, 357, the kind of cost you incurred. And with that, you also have a breakdown of the cost, right? What is the cost for Gemini 2.0 Flash? What was the cost for the input? What is the cost for the output? And good thing that you can actually trace this fully, which were the functions called, what was the eventual code which was required to make the entire call, as in distilled code, right? Not your entire application's code, but the actual code which went into effect while making this API call. You can actually see that. And you can also provide feedback to it. So if you're creating like some sort of user interface in which you have that, did you like this response, thumb up or else thumb down? So all of those kind of responses you can store here in the feedback and then use this feedback later to improve your model, right? So that said, I will not take a lot of time in this anymore, and I will come back and tell you about something called the game, right? So we have a challenge running, which is Weave Drop, right? So the idea is that you will have a target shape displayed on your screen, and you have to prompt to draw that shape using AI, right? Pretty simple. There's a target shape, and you can only prompt. You can't draw. You can only prompt something like make a triangle, right? And it should make that triangle. And how do you play this? You need to go and grab your WANB API key, which you will be able to get on the settings. You can actually just click API key, and you will be able to get your API key, or else you can go to the URL wanb.ai/authorize, right? So if you do that, you can actually get these instructions on our booth. We are just outside, and you will get your API key at wanb.ai/authorize, or else you will have to create your account first. And there's a big button here called authorize. In my case, it's already authorized, but on the authorize, you click, you put your API key and save your API key, you are done. You don't have to create an account for this on my game, because you just need to create a WANB account. And once you do that, you'll be able to play the game. You'll be able to prompt, see how good you are at prompting to draw stuff. And you will be getting a matching score at every level, and you will keep progressing to the next level. There's an open leaderboard available for this, and the people who are in the top of the leaderboard will be given amazing goodies from us. Besides, we also have like really, really shiny stickers with us. So do come to our booth and collect those as well. Right. So that's it. The slide deck again and our booth outside. Right. So that is pretty much all. Thank you. And if you want to connect with us, I have that username everywhere. And Ayush is on Twitter. Right. So thank you.